Welcome back to the new session. So in the previous session, as you can see on board, we have already completed the design of beam. So in this session, we are going to see SP34 criteria for preparing the detailing of the beams. Right? This is exclusive. You will not find this lectures anywhere, right? So please pay attention to this lecture. This is going to be very helpful for aspiring structural engineers. So for that, we need to go to SP34 IS code, right? So let's go to SP34 code, which I already have opened. So as you can see on your screen, SP34 code is there, and we need to go to section number 8, right? So in section number 8, it is specially for beams. Section number 8 is specifically for beams. So first is for arrangement of bars, right? So how do we arrange the bars, right? So the bars shall be symmetrically placed about the vertical center line of the beams, where there are only two bars in a row. This shall be placed at the outer edges, where bars are different diameter are placed in a single bottom row. The larger diameter of bars are placed on the outer side, right? These are very important points, where the bars in different horizontal rows have different diameter. The larger diameter bars shall be placed in the bottom row. These are the arrangement of bars. Then 8.2 is for longitudinal reinforcement. Minimum distance between individual bars. So how much will be the minimum distance between individual bars? So the horizontal distance between two parallel bars shall be usually not less than the following. First is diameter of the bar if the diameter are equal, diameter of the larger bar if the diameter are unequal, 5 mm more than the nominal maximum size of aggregate, right? So these are the three parameters for the minimum distance between two bars. Minimum distance between two bars, the same thing you can observe from the figure also, right? Same thing you can observe from the figure also, right? Then there is one more point. Greater horizontal distance than the minimum specified should be provided where possible. However, when needle vibrators are employed, the horizontal distance between bars of group may be reduced by 2/3 of nominal maximum size of aggregate, provided vibrator can be used without difficulty, right? So this is an important clause. Then where there are two or more rows of bars, the bars shall be vertically in line, and the minimum vertical distance between bars shall be 15 mm or 2/3 the nominal maximum size of aggregate or maximum size of bar, whichever is greater, right? The same thing you can observe in this figure also, right? It is talking about this distance of different lines of bars are there. Say this different lines of bar is there, right? Here 8.1c different lines of bar. So distance between two lines of bar is how much, that is also given. Then the minimum spacing requirements of reinforcement is given in the figure, as you can see. Next is for tension reinforcement, minimum reinforcement criteria, right? So the minimum area of tension reinforcement shall not be less than given by the formula. AS minimum is equal to 0.85 BD divided by Fy. The similar formula is there in IS 456 also, right? Then what else we have? We have maximum reinforcement also. The maximum area of tension reinforcement shall not exceed 0.04 BD, right? Or that is gross area, right? That is in short, it is 4%. Maximum reinforcement in beam should not exceed 4%. Then the maximum distance between bars in tension. Maximum distance between bars in tension, that is horizontal distance. So unless the calculation of crack width shows that the greater spacing of bar is acceptable, the following requirements should be fulfilled for the controlling the flexure cracking. The horizontal distance between parallel reinforcing bars or group near tension face of a beam shall not be greater than the value given in table number 8.1, depending on the amount of redistribution carried out in the analysis of the characteristic strength of the reinforcement. So table number 8.1, we need to go to table number 8.1. So here is the table number 8.1, maximum clear distance between tension bars. It depends on percentage redistribution or from section considered. So for different grades of concrete, right, clear distance between bars generally for our case it is Fe415, right? So if we consider zero distribution, right, 0% distribution, then 180 mm. So generally the range minimum is 180 mm, maximum you can go up to 210 mm. Alright, so this is how you can see table number 8.1, right? Then the next is the same thing you can visualize from this figures also, right? So you need to observe these figures carefully. Next important part in this is about compression reinforcement. So the maximum area of compression reinforcement shall not exceed again 4% of gross area, right? Then next is side face reinforcement, where the depth of web in a beam exceeds 750 mm, side face reinforcement shall be provided along the two faces. The total area of such reinforcement shall not be less than 0.1% of the web area and shall be distributed on two faces at a spacing not exceeding 300 mm or web thickness, whichever is less. So there is a criteria for side face reinforcement, and this is only applicable when we have the depth of beam greater than 750 mm, right? So for our case the depth is less than 750 mm, so it is okay, no need for side face reinforcement. Next is detailing of shear reinforcement. So how to do the detailing of shear reinforcement? So a stirrup in the reinforced concrete beam shall pass through or otherwise adequately secure to the outermost tension and compression reinforcement, and such stirrups should have both its ends anchored properly in the one of the fashion detailed in 8.5 figure, right? So this is figure number 8.4, this is figure number 8.5, right? So either you can anchor your stirrup bars like this, or you can anchor your stirrup bars like this, right? Next, or you can anchor it like this also, right? There are three options given, different ways of anchoring ends of stirrup. While adopting stirrups, different shapes as shown in 8.6 may be considered, right, depending upon the construction requirements, keeping in view the end anchorage requirements. However, while choosing a particular shape for a particular situation, its validity should be considered from structural point of view, right? So 8.6, these are the different types of stirrups. You can even go for welding also, right? 12 types of stirrups are there, and the 14 last two are for welding, different shapes of stirrups. Then there is a bent up bar. Tension reinforcement which is inclined and carried through the depth of beam can also be considered to act as shear reinforcement, provided it is anchored in the accordance with 4.3.5 figure number 8.7. Bent up bar can also be considered as stirrups if it is coming in accordance with the 4.3.5. Usually two bars are bent up at a time at an angle of 45 to 60 degree to the longitudinal axis of the beam, but other angles can also be adopted. It is usual practice to combine bent up bars and vertical stirrups to resist the shear, since some of the longitudinal bars are bent up when they are not longer required at the bottom. So both the systems are applicable. Next is for maximum spacing of stirrups. So the maximum spacing of shear reinforcement measured along the axis of the member shall not exceed 0.75 times D for vertical stirrups and D for inclined stirrup at 45 degree, right? In no case it shall exceed 450 mm, right? Then next is use of multi-lathe stirrups. So you can refer this, right? Everything is given in detail. Then there is one clause for minimum reinforcement, minimum shear reinforcement in form of stirrups shall not be less than the following, right? Figure number 8.11. So these are different figures, these are different ways of putting up the stirrups, correct ways and wrong ways. So here is a formula for minimum stirrup reinforcement, right? So 0.4 BSV divided by Fy. So however, in members of minor structural importance such as lintels or where maximum shear stress calculated is less than the permissible value, this provision need not be complied with. That is what we did, right? Beam with varying depth, right? So there is a detailed explanation given what are the criteria to be looked after, right? This is a longitudinal section of a beam, reinforcement requirement for beams, right? So this is how you draw it. It is showing the spacing, right? Maximum spacing, and then minimum area of steel, maximum area of steel in compression and tension. First stirrup should not be at more than 50 mm, more than 50 mm. So minimum 50 mm, but not more than 50 mm. First stirrup should be placed. Then we have one more diagram. Then there is a for torsion reinforcement. In our example, we have not considered torsion, so it is not, I'm not going through it. But if in future, if you are doing a calculation for torsion reinforcement, how to put this is also given in this SP34. Now this is the important part, how to show the steel in a structural drawing, right? So simply supported curtailment rules for continuous beams. So this is a continuous beam that we have solved, right, in the previous session. So this is how you are supposed to show the steel. The length of the top bars near support is up to 0.25 L1, right, 0.25 L1, 0.25 L2. Then 100% steel in the span, 30% should be carried to the support, on both the support and the tension part. Then at the top, 20% steel in the middle, then 60% at the end, 100%. You can find the similar type of figure in ACI code also, right? So this is how it should be done as per SP34 code, right? So I hope you refer this. This is a cantilever beam. This is for cantilever beam. So this is how you are supposed to show the steel reinforcement. These are some special cases for RCC beams that are to be taken as a reference, right? You can take a reference from here, how to show the detailing when you are encountered with some special type of beams, right? So this is given in SP34, right? So this is how we can do it. And thank you so much guys for watching this. I hope I'm able to give you some practical knowledge along with the academic knowledge, right? So if you refer this, if you prepare like this, I'm guaranteed you will get a good job, right? You can clear any interview either for site engineer or for the structural engineer. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next session with design of column.